Let's start the next section, and in this section we will talk about some miscellaneous motility disorder of the esophagus. And different disorders which we will discuss in this section will be the nutcracker esophagus, scleroderma, and then we will talk about the Schatzi's ring. So first, the nutcracker esophagus. What is nutcracker esophagus? These are the strong, high amplitude esophageal contractions, but contractions remain peristaltic. It causes dysphagia and substernal pain. So in this, the nutcracker esophagus, there are strong, high amplitude esophageal contractions, and these contractions are like peristaltic contractions, so they remain peristaltic. They are able to push the content of the esophagus forward, but the only problem is they are very strong and high amplitude esophageal contractions. So strong esophageal contractions which are peristaltic. Next condition, the scleroderma. Scleroderma is a systemic collagen disorder, primarily neural but secondarily weakening smooth muscles of lower two-thirds of esophagus and lower esophageal sphincter. So it's the collagen disorder, systemic disorder. Scleroderma is the disorder that can affect different organs of the body. Different parts of the body are affected. It's a systemic disorder, not only the disorder which is associated with the esophagus. So systemic collagen disorder, primarily neural, so it's a neural disorder, but also cause weakening of smooth muscle of lower third of the esophagus and lower esophageal sphincter. So if there is weakening of the lower esophagus and lower esophageal sphincter, they are not functioning properly. The sphincter is not relaxing and opening properly, opening and closing because of the abnormality of the smooth muscle. The features which will be associated with this condition will be more or less the same as the spasm and the closure of the lower esophageal sphincter, as we already discussed in the first 2-3 sections, that there will be the retention of the food in the lower esophageal region, and the sphincter is not opening properly, so it stays there until they build up enough pressure that can cause the opening of the sphincter, and some of the food then can enter into the stomach from the esophagus. So it's a systemic disorder, scleroderma, and it can also involve the esophagus by causing weakening of the muscle of lower esophagus and lower esophageal sphincter. That's the picture we can get on the barium swallow, that there is again the disorder of the lower esophagus. Dysphagia, as we mentioned before, dysphagia is very common in all these different esophageal motility disorder. There is difficulty in swallowing because there is difficulty in passage of the food. It stays in the esophagus, and that causes difficulty on swallowing because of the different symptoms or different problems caused by these weakening of the muscle, and that food that is retained can cause ulceration, can cause stricture formation, and all these conditions can ultimately lead to dysphagia. Then the barium swallow shows what the picture we get. There is absence of peristalsis because of the weakening of the smooth muscle. Peristaltic waves are absent, and peristalsis is very important for moving the esophageal contact down, and this is affected. And also in distal two-thirds of the esophagus, mainly in the distal portion of the esophagus, this problem is common. So barium swallow is the diagnostic test that can be done, and that shows absence of peristaltic waves, and this is more common in the lower third and lower esophageal sphincter. In the scleroderma, many patients which have this condition will have hiatus hernia and reflux esophagitis associated with the scleroderma. Develop stricture in the distal part of esophagus due to recurrent inflammation. So as I mentioned, strictures are very common in this because of reflux esophagitis, constant irritation of the lower part of the esophagus that can cause stricture formation that can further contribute to the dysphagia and adenophagia. Then the third condition which we will discuss in this section now will be the Schatzi's ring. You can see there is formation of the ring, and it occurs at the junction of squamous and columnar epithelium at the lower end of esophagus and has been called lower esophageal ring. So instead of Schatzi's ring, it is also known as lower esophageal rings are formed. You can see the lower esophagus is affected, and it is usually at the junction of squamo-columnar junction. The lower esophageal portion is also at the squamo-columnar. It's called squamo-columnar junction, where there is a junction between the squamous epithelium and columnar epithelium, and that's the lower end of the esophagus where these rings are formed, also known as lower esophageal rings. The cause of the formation of these rings is not known, it's unknown. Symptomatic patient, usually the symptoms will be more or less the same, which we already discussed, which are associated with different conditions of the esophagus that can cause hypomotility, hypermotility because of the obstruction to the flow, because of the absence of peristaltic waves. So the symptoms will be the intermittent dysphagia, bolus obstruction. So same, it can cause dysphagia, difficulty in swallowing. It's intermittent, sometimes it is relieved, sometimes it is present. And bolus obstruction, obstruction of the food can occur, and then it is associated with hiatus hernia. So all these three conditions we see, they are associated with dysphagia. They can cause stricture formation, obstruction of the passage of the food, and they can mostly they are affected with the condition known as hiatus hernia. Treatment is esophageal dilation because of the narrowing or of the esophagus as a result of the ring formation at the squamo-columnar junction, which is the lower part of the esophagus. Dilatation of the esophagus is performed so that obstruction is relieved, and then the food can easily pass through that obstruction. So that was the section 4. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.